Alright, so what we got here is question 15 off of the section 3-2 practice problems. And it's asking us to take a look at a composition of two reflections, where we first reflect an object across line L, and then we reflect it across line K. Line L is this green one, x equals -4. Line K is this blue one, x equals -7. And those two compositions of reflection, since those lines of reflection are parallel, one of the things I talked about in the video is that when you do a composition of two reflections across two different parallel lines, the result is the same as if we just did a single translation. So that's what this question is asking about. If I do these two reflections, what translation does that result look like? And so let's just kind of investigate here for a second. I drew a triangle ABC, and I'm going to imagine reflecting that first across line L, and then reflecting that result across line K. So let's start by reflecting it across line L. And so what's going to happen is each of those corners, A, B, and C, is going to get flipped over to the opposite side of line L, but kind of the same distance away from line L as it is now. So for instance, whereas A is 1 unit to the right of line L, it's going to flip over and be 1 unit to the left. C is going to be 1 unit to the left. B, which is currently 4 units to the right of line L, it's going to flip over here and be 4 units to the left. And so the result would be a triangle that looks something like this, with A prime now being here, C prime being there, and B prime being there. So this pink triangle is what I would have after I flip the red one across line L. Now we're going to take that pink triangle and we're going to flip it across line K. So we're going to do the same idea. A prime, which is currently 2 units to the right of line K, is going to end up over here 2 units to the left. C prime is going to end up 2 units to the left of line K. B prime, which is currently 1 unit to the left of line K, is going to end up over here 1 unit to the right. So that's going to look like this, with A prime prime now being here, C prime prime now being there, and then B prime, I put that one spot too far over, B prime prime now being right there. So now this kind of turquoise triangle that I'm drawing now is what I get when I reflect the pink triangle across line K. And so if you notice, comparing this red triangle to the turquoise one, it looks like I just took it and slid it over this much, right? In reality, I did it 2 reflections to get it to right here, but like we just talked about, that is equivalent to doing a translation over to here. So the question is, well, how did you translate it? If I just ignore this pink triangle, look at this red triangle sliding over to where the turquoise triangle is, how much of a slide is that? And so if I look at going from C to where C prime prime is, I notice that I'm moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units over to the left. And A is moving 6 units to the left to get to A prime prime, and B is moving 6 units to the left to get to B prime prime. And so that movement would be a -6 in the x direction, because I'm moving left 6 units, and I didn't move up or down at all, so it's a 0 unit movement in the y direction. So there's our answer, that it's equivalent, that these two reflections is equivalent to a translation of -6, 0. One of the things to remember is that we talked about in that video that the shortcut way of doing what I just did is to think about how far apart these two lines of reflection are. They are 3 units apart. So that resulting translation, when I reflect over both of those lines, is going to be a movement that's double that distance. So whereas those two lines are 3 units apart, it's a movement of 6 units, and it's in the negative direction because if I think about, and I think the easiest way to realize that it's going to be in the negative direction is maybe just to visualize, to kind of draw this out and visualize that I'm flipping over line L and then flipping over line K. So my result, my image triangle, is going to be to the left of my pre-image triangle. So that's indicating that I'm moving in the negative direction, x, for this x number here in this in the description of this translation.